and it's killing me.
Are you still based just north of Kingston, Ontario?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And you've talked about the swans that are out there. Are there any more animals that have come out recently?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yesterday was the first day that the bats returned. So we have right in the soffit of our house. We have like bats have been making a home there for as long as I've lived here, over 15 years. And yeah, yesterday in the middle of the day, the lone bat flew around the backyard. We were outside, and it went up into its little home. So I think they must, they migrate. So I think they're somewhere south of here when it gets too cold. And so yeah, the bats are back. Blue herons. We have big wetlands all around, all behind our place here. So we're just really lucky. The wildlife's crazy. There's turtles. We haven't seen any turtles yet, but
well, they take a while. I don't know anything about them, but they're slow. Now, we're going to talk about more of that in just a few minutes, but would you grace us with the honor of a song?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm psyching you out because I'm sitting in front of my piano, but I don't really play.
Oh, just look at that. Just a guitar just kicking around, of course.
All right, so this song is called Just Get Here, and my friend recently said to me that it seemed like a pertinent song for the moment because even though when I reference the thumbs in the song, I'm talking about hitchhiking, but she's thinking, these days when we're all in isolation. Anyways, I didn't need to preface it too much, but yeah, just get here. If I was a crow, I'd fly the roads that wind between these places, over back lanes and weathered veins where creeks have left their traces. Fruit trees planted long ago still bloom every other season. A fence won't keep the rabbits out, the gate's always open for some damn reason. Trace the coastline to a place that's worn and storied. At the end of that chain, the Great Lakes drain into the old St. Lawrence. Oh, we've held a party or two, slept a million dreamers who woke to find the coffee on. Though the smoke is gone, the poetry lingers. If you're too tucked away and you can't see the sun, if you're something to say but you ain't got no one, whatever you do, if you have to, I'll use your thumb. Just get here, just come. If you come out at night, you'll see the light and where to make the turn off. But do call ahead, we might be in bed or riding with our clothes off. Riding under wallpaper, riding on the wound. The poets die, a lullaby still whispers faintly in the room. If you're too tucked away and you can't see the sun, if you're something to say but you ain't got no one, whatever you do, if you have to, or use your thumb, just get here, just come. If you're too tucked away and you can't see the sun, if you're something to say, you ain't got no one, if your hands are getting cold, you don't know what you'll become. If I was a crow, I'd fly the roads that wind between these places, where poems were read and hunger's fed and hearts were warm and gracious. Did we keep a guest book somewhere, or are the records fading? We'll make a vow to start one now. There is still time, but it's not waiting.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm learning how to react to these now. I've watched enough online shows now that but it's a pleasure to be able to react and speak to you after, because usually
right.
I've got myself muted and I'm just a crazy person in my house clapping, and my kids don't know why. That was beautiful. You're right. It's a great song for the times we live in, although a bit melancholy, because I'd love to get places, but I can't go anywhere right now.
Yeah, true.
Now, we talked a little bit, of course, in the panel about your initiative, but not everyone might know the level of your activism, but he was hearkening back to the battle with for Mount, that's under the Protecttt.
Yeah, Protecting Escarpment Rural Land. That was Pearl, our group, and we worked to save Mount Nemo, Nemo.
That's it, Mount Nemo.
That's in Burlington, Ontario. Yeah, it's a part of the Niagara Escarpment.
And so you won part of the battle, and then it's back now? Is that
yeah, we won. We took it to a joint board hearing. You know, the city of Burlington, Region of Halton, everybody, citizens spent millions of dollars, 8 years, to protect the aquifer and the wetlands and all this. You know, it's a World Biosphere Reserve. UNESCO has recognized the Niagara Escarpment. And so we won. Yeah, the company, their proposal was dismissed after 15 months in a very boring Quality Inn, hotel, whatever conference room that we had this big long hearing. And it was the Endangered Species Act in Ontario that did most of the heavy lifting to protect it because of the salamander. Funnily enough, David, he just found a salamander yesterday. Well, the Jefferson salamander is a protected species, and they weren't able to protect the wetlands. You know, you go in below water table with a giant open pit mine, you're going to draw all the water down to the lowest spot. So anyway, that was in 2012. We got the decision that it was turned down, and now the company is back 7 years later, and they're even wanting to quarry some of this exact same land that was ruled, that they got turfed off of. So it's just shocking that nothing has changed up there except that the wildlife and the importance of the forest has only increased. As climate change becomes worse, our reliance on clean well water and wetlands are only getting more important. So the fact that this Lafarge is able to come back and spend all of our money and time again to because they want this rock. They want to turn one of the most biologically rich areas in the world into the most homogeneous pieces of gravel. So it's
literally for a rock quarry. It's not for
a
mineral or anything underneath.
No, it's for the limestone. It's for the 400 million year old limestone that comprises the Niagara Escarpment Ridge. So that is a real problem with just the system that is allowed to happen.
Is it? It sounds like it's rewarding but exhausting. You've taken this step and several steps and gone through, as you said, all the the necessary steps of it, and then it comes back, even though it's already been it's a done fight. And we saw it with David, obviously, as well, and he's been fighting the good fight for decades now. So I don't want to say why do it, but how do you keep yourself motivated to keep doing it?
Well, I'll tell you why you do it, because it actually can be really enjoyable. Okay. Step by step by step. Like, I met so many people that I wouldn't otherwise know, people that I didn't think I had much in common with, neighbors of my parents, and like my parents still live on Mount Nemo. And I learned so much. I mean, yeah, you go to a lot of boring meetings and there is a lot of it's slow, but it enriched my life. I got to know a place that I thought I knew pretty well. I got to find out that there were fish in our pond, and like all this, it just enriched the place and the experience. And it also, I think, had ripple effects, just in that, we did win that battle. And I think that any kind of example like that is helpful to other people, because there are hundreds, even in Ontario alone, there are just hundreds of community groups trying to protect lakes or important habitats. So, yeah, it's disheartening, but what else are you gonna do? You know?
I like that. I like that answer, but I like all parts of it because you're getting to meet like-minded spirits and kindred spirits, and um, you've got to find the victories, I guess, within the battle, because it's always going to be an overreaching thing. As a songwriter, obviously that's directly linked to your activism outside of it as well. Escarpment Blues is one of my favorite tunes.
Oh, well, that's cool. Thank
And
you.
it's all about your surroundings and fighting for your surroundings. So I guess related to that question, how important, you paint a picture with your songs. How important is it to you to have the local lyrics and your environment in your songs?
Well, I really like it as a listener. I love it when something I know is referenced. I mean, I remember being in London, England one night. I was in a bookstore. It was open late. I don't know why. And I pulled out a Michael Ondaatje book of poetry, and I'm thumbing through it, and I find a poem called Near Elginburg, and I live near Elginburg. It's like it's a crossroads. It's not sexy at all. And here I was on like the high street in London reading this book, or reading this poem that Michael Ondaatje, and my little part of the world was worthy of that, And so I don't know. I love details, so I just end up putting them in there. And I think too in Canada, we have been so inundated with American culture, British culture, that there's just a lot of stuff here to explore and unearth and to sing and talk about. So I like that.
Well, one, you're great at it, first of all, and one person that we know, I don't know, but you do know, Gord Downie, probably the iconic Canadian for writing Canadian lyrics into songs and getting them out there into the world. And obviously the love was given back. But what your tribute that you did to Gord with City and Color and Kevin Hurd at the Junos, one of the most emotional moments I've ever seen in Canadian music. How do you think Gordy might react to the time that we're living in right now, when we really all need to be together? I know it's a tough question, but I know that you were friends, and I can't imagine having really physically, personally known him, because I feel a loss and I never met him. So what do you think the kind of things he might be doing today?
Oh, I imagine he'd be like happily hunkered down with his kids and his family. And probably, biting his nails if the Boston Bruins come back to the ice before too long. Yeah, I really don't know. I can just imagine what most people are doing, which is kind of getting to know their homes better, and their pets better and their families, slowing down. So I mean, I feel like my partner and I, he's been like fixing all the stuff that's been broken for years around here, just like the odd chair or this and that. And like, I'm reading books that I've had kicking around for a long time, or at least thumbing through them, not really delving in too deep, but at least not having all this outside stimulus, and just kind of going through things that you've already accumulated, and just kind of putting the buttons back on the shirts, and fixing doing the repairs. And so I can imagine just kind of small domestic but enjoyable things like that. Probably writing some great songs too, I imagine.
I imagine. How is your songwriting going during this time? Are you writing a lot?
Honestly, no. I haven't picked up my guitar hardly at all. I've been doing lots of I've started a bunch of seeds, and I've been doing lots of outdoor stuff, projects, and getting stuff ready. It's kind of a godsend that it's spring, so that you can at least, get your hands dirty again, which I think is very, very therapeutic. I
think you're right. My wife agrees with that too, but I'm really not very good at it. I can remove things. I'm not good at putting them back in.
That's important. Weeding, pruning, that stuff is key. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell her that I know how to do something, and it's demolition, but not rebuilding. Last question for you, because I'm conscious of your time. I know you probably want to get back outside to the various creatures that are out there. The bats are almost awake now, I think. It's
Yes,
almost,
they are.
um, I have to ask this because as with a person with a CBC show, we get questions like this all the time. But your most recent album is called "Are You Gone," which is a great album that everyone should get first and foremost. But there is no question mark, Sarah. Now, how can you have the words "Are you gone" and no question mark? That's my question.
Well, I am glad you asked, Steve. It was really a conundrum. I had a really hard time naming the album. I
Yeah.
couldn't come up with a name. And then when I finally did, it was like, is it going to have a question mark? And I guess I went back to Jay Mascis of Dinosaur Jr. put out a record called Where You Been? And it had no question mark. I'm like, if it was good enough for Jay Mascis, it's good enough for me. Yeah, it was just a visual thing. It was just kind of messing with me when I was looking at it with the question mark. So I decided no question
Fair enough. The precedent has been set, and I appreciate the explanation. But still, I hate to say it, you're going to get letters. You're going to get letters from me.
mark. I am. It's true. I
Yeah.
said kilometer once on the CBC, and I got kilometer letters for days.
I could show you the letters we get. I think I said either infer or imply in the wrong context, and it was, you would have thought I was starting a campaign to get letters into me to describe how to speak. But thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Hey, I enjoy your show a lot too. It's lots of fun. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Cheers, Sarah.
Bye.